Hello guys, you are welcome. My name is Adeno Mukaram. In this video, we are going to be discussing what we call foreign key in Microsoft SQL Server. We'll be discussing the definition of foreign key, the simple definition of foreign key, how to create a foreign key using its syntax in Microsoft SQL Server. Then we are also going to discuss the relationship between the foreign key and its primary key. So then the last one, we move to the practical aspect for better understanding of foreign key in Microsoft SQL Server. Now let's jump into the discussion. Okay, so what is a foreign key? A foreign key is used to reference a primary key value in a primary key table. So an example that we are going to make use of in a school, let's assume we have the department table. Okay, so the department table consists of two columns. That's department number and the department name. So the department name is an integer data type and it is a primary key. So before we move on, a primary key identify a specific row in a table which must be unique and it must not be null. So it must be unique and it must not be null. So if you want to have a value in the department number here, it must be unique and it must not be null. Unique means you can only have each value just once. You cannot have it multiple times. If you have it multiple times, that means you are having a duplicate, and which is not allowed in primary key constraint, in the primary key value or in the primary key field. Okay, so now we have the department name also here. Now, but let's assume we now want to enroll students into our database, into our school, for example. So the student table consists of three columns. The first column is the student number, the second column is the student name, while the department number, the third column. So the student name is the student number is the primary key. The student name is a variable character which can consist of only 100 characters. Okay, so the department number is a data type of integer and it is a foreign key. It is a what? It is a foreign key. Now that's where we are going. As I said before, a foreign key is used to reference a primary key value in a primary key table. It is used to reference a primary key value in a primary key table. So these are the values. This is the primary key. So this foreign key is going to reference this primary key in the department table. Okay, so but now let's assume we have 501, 502, 503, 504. These are the values in our department number. So we want to, from our definition, we said a foreign key is used to reference a primary key value in a primary key table. Now you want to reference the values here in the primary key field. So you are going to give the constraint of foreign key because you are referencing the values here. So for an example, you have 501, 502, 503, and 504. Now we want to enroll students into the school. The student number one, it's assigned 501 department, which is the accounting department. So we enroll the second student. The second student assigned 502 department, which is engineering. We assigned 503 to the third student. We assigned 504 to the fourth student, which is the applied science. Now we now enroll another student, the student number 5. We now assigned 505. 505 does not exist in the department table, department number, it doesn't exist. And don't forget, this foreign key is going to reference the value in the department number. Okay, so but from our department number, there's no 505 there. So now this, when you want to when you are inserting this one, it will give what? It will give an error. To give an error because there is no way we can assign a student, or we can yes, there's no way we can assign a student to the department that does not exist. To the what? To the department that does not exist. Now, if you look at this 505 department does not exist. So there is no way you can just assign a department, a department that does not exist to any student. Let's assume you don't have the department in your school and you are not assigning it to a student. Is it possible? It's not possible. So that will give us what? An error. So from there, let's move to the Microsoft SQL Server to check this out. So we've created our students table. We've created our department table. Now let's check the data in our student and department table. So in the students table, we have James is in department 503. 503 is business department. Okay, so now we are all the values here are here also. You can see 501, 502, 503, and 504. So Ben is in department 504, which is the applied science. Now let's assume we enroll a new student. We have 5 students already, so we now enroll our 6th student. So we need to insert into the students table. We're inserting into the students table. Okay, so the values, the student number, 6th student, the student name is Mark. Now we want to assign a department to Mark. Now you can see 501, 502, 503, 504. So we now choose a department that does not exist. So let's assume I choose 504 department 505, and it doesn't exist. So as I said in our previous video, that this one will not be allowed to be inserted because it doesn't exist. You cannot assign a department that does not exist to a student. Okay, so now if you want this insert statement, you are going to have an error. Okay, this is our error. The insert statement conflicted with the foreign key constraint. So the conflicts occurred in my database, in the department column, and the department number. So department number, this is the primary key. So it's saying that, okay, it's what? This value 505 does not exist in the department number. If you run our select statement, you can see 505 does not exist. So that's why it is giving us an error. So now let's assume, let's correct that and assign a value that we have already. Okay, let's assume we have the 503. We have 503. So if you insert 503 and run it, execute it, your insert statement is succeed. So if you, let's select our statement again. Good. So we have 6th student. Student name is Mark, and we were able to assign a value that's the department number that we have already in the database. Okay, so in conclusion, we should know that we cannot, if you want to reference a value in the primary key, or if you want to reference a value in the foreign key, you must reference the value that exists that we have in the primary key column. If we didn't have it there, we are going to have an error. Okay, so from our definition also, a foreign key is constrained to the values in the primary key. So a foreign key, this is our foreign key, they are only constrained to the values in the primary key. Okay, so any other values we inserted will not be allowed. because they are only constrained to this. Okay, so in conclusion, foreign key and primary key is used to form relations between two different tables. Okay, so thanks for listening. Don't forget, a foreign key is used to reference a primary key value in a primary key table. Thanks for watching. Click on the like button, share, and subscribe. We'll meet in our next video. Thanks.